Today on Inquirer, in courtesy call to President Bongbong Marcos, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris reaffirms her government's promise to defend the Philippines in case of an armed attack in South China Sea. Hours after a sea encounter between Philippines and China, blasts were heard in Pag-asa Island. Oil firms roll back diesel, kerosene, and gasoline prices starting tomorrow. And Bureau of Corrections asks Commission on Audit to look into anomalies in the new Bilibid prison excavation. Good evening. The United States Vice President Kamala Harris today met with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte. To give us the details on the meetings, here's Zakarian Sarao reporting live. Zach?
Yes, Neil, indeed, United States Vice President Kamala Harris just reaffirmed the U.S. government's commitment to the defense of the Philippines in the event of a military attack over the disputed waters in the South China Sea during her courtesy call on President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. here in Manila. According to Harris, the relationship between the Philippines and the U.S. is quote-unquote long and enduring and is based on mutual commitment to the economic prosperity and mutual concerns about the security in the region. She explained that an armed attack on the country would invoke U.S. mutual defense commitments, which she said is an unwavering commitment U.S. has to the Philippines. The U.S. Vice President also said that the ties between the two countries continue to strengthen under the leadership of Marcos, even expressing greetings from U.S. President Joe Biden. To recall, Marcos met Biden last September during his 6-day visit to New York, where he attended the 77th United Nations General Assembly. Marcos Jr., meanwhile, during Harris's courtesy call, said her visit to the Philippines is a quote-unquote very strong symbol that the relationship between the two nations remains strong and important. He noted that the situation in Southeast Asia is quote-unquote rapidly changing and that the ties between the U.S. and the Philippines must evolve to be properly responsive. The Philippine president also said that the country's relationship with the U.S. has strengthened in every way after going through quote-unquote different phases. Meanwhile, Harris also met with Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte before her courtesy call on Marcos, where Duterte told Harris that one of her priority agendas is security and anti-terrorism. Duterte even claimed security to be her first love, according to the Office of the Vice President, or OVP. The OVP said that Harris then reiterated to Duterte the United States' strong commitment to the Philippines against forces that might attack the country. Duterte, for her part, said she is prioritizing security and anti-terrorism, having been brought up in Mindanao. The OVP also said that Duterte and Harris talked about training that could help create jobs, with Duterte pointing out that the Philippine government is already implementing the K-12 program and is working with the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority on skills training for senior high school learners. Harris is the first high-ranking U.S. government official to visit the Philippines for a series of engagements since Marcos assumed the presidency. These scheduled engagements include a visit to the Philippine province of Palawan, which is located in the midst of a disputed territory in the South China Sea, on Tuesday. The U.S. Vice President is also set to meet with the Philippine Coast Guard on one of the country's two largest Coast Guard vessels to give a speech to the organization's personnel. Back to you, Neil.
Zach, as you know, President Marcos recently met with Chinese President Xi Jinping, and today he met with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. So I guess the question here, Zach, is does President Marcos have concrete plans as to how he's going to balance the Philippines' relationship with China and with the U.S.?
Well, Neil, while Marcos has yet to actually give a step-by-step on how he will balance the Philippines' ties with both the US and China, Marcos previously told Chinese President Xi Jinping that the Philippines would continue to pursue an independent foreign policy despite revitalized ties with the United States and China, basically avoiding neighborly frictions. In fact, the Department of Foreign Affairs also said that both Marcos and Xi agreed that maritime issues do not define the totality of the Philippines and China's relations.
Maybe that's a question we have to ask the palace because, as you know, the tension is still rising between the Philippines and China with regard to the West Philippine Sea. Thanks, Zach. That's Zakarian Sarao reporting live. A series of blasts was heard by residents of Philippine-occupied Pag-asa Island in the West Philippine Sea on Sunday. The blasts, strong enough to jolt the ground as it rippled into the island, were heard from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. A report from local police said the repetitive sounds were believed to come from artillery guns or weapons from Chinese South Zamora Reef, one of the biggest out of the 7 man-made islands built by Beijing in the Spratly Islands. But at least 2 officials who spoke to the Inquirer said the source of the loud blasts was still being verified. The blasts on Sunday occurred a few hours after a sea encounter between the Philippine Navy and China Coast Guard. In a statement, Western Command Chief Vice Admiral Alberto Carlos said a civilian boat manned by Philippine Navy personnel sailed near Pag-asa to retrieve suspected Chinese rocket debris. However, a Chinese Coast Guard ship had blocked their path twice and launched one of its rubber boats to forcefully take the debris by cutting the cable line connecting it with the Philippine Navy boat. These incidents came 2 days ahead of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris' visit to Palawan, the island province near the disputed South China Sea, where China had built military facilities on artificial islands. The Bureau of Corrections has already requested the Commission on Audit to look into the issues surrounding the agency, especially amid the controversial excavation at the new Bilibid prison. According to Justice Secretary Jesus Crispina Remulla, BuCor Acting Chief Gregorio Catapang has formally sent a request letter to conduct an audit on the issues surrounding the Corrections Bureau, previously headed by suspended Chief Gerald Bantag. Remulla noted that BuCor has the second largest budget under the Department of Justice, following the National Prosecutor's Office. He said the investigating authorities are currently finishing up its report before the DOJ can file cases against those involved in the excavation. The BuCor under Bantag entered into a memorandum of agreement and a joint venture deal with Agua Tierra Oro Mina Development or ATOM Corporation for the project that would supposedly decongest the NBP and earn revenues for the agency. Under the deal, Atom Corporation would donate hectares of land to BuCor and put up buildings to relocate persons deprived of liberty. In return, the company will develop the NBP reservation in Muntinlupa City into a commercial, residential, and industrial area. Remulla said the project was not approved by his predecessor, adding that former President Rodrigo Duterte was even invited to the groundbreaking ceremony, but he did not attend upon learning that it was not approved. Local oil firms are slashing the pump prices of diesel, kerosene, and gasoline effective tomorrow, November 22. Diesel prices will go down by 2 pesos and 15 centavos per liter, while the prices of kerosene will be cut by 2 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, the price of gasoline will decrease by 40 centavos per liter. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Ervin Santiago ng Bandera. Ervin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. 20 years na sa entertainment industry ang tinaguriang ultimate multimedia star na si Tony Gonzaga. At sa loob nga ng 2 dekada ay marami na rin siyang kinaharap na challenges sa kanyang personal na buhay at career. Pero knows nyo ba na noong nagsisimula pa lang ang career ni Tony ay talagang takot siyang humarap sa mga showbiz reporter. Kaya naman hanggat maaari ay ayaw niyang magkamali at makagawa ng sablay. Sa nakaraang press con ng 20th anniversary concert ni Tony ay nagbigay nga siya ng paliwanag tungkol dito, kasabay ng pagbibigay ng ilang detalye about her anniversary show.
I remember my 10th year, we did it in Araneta, so parang full circle yung 20th, we will do it again in Araneta. It's just a recollection of everything that happened in the 20 years, how I started, what happened in between, and where I am today. So it's going to be a journey, yung concert. It's more of like a story of everything of my life. When I look back, I'm still the same Tony who started in the industry. Simple lang din yung pangarap ko, to be able to do what I love to do, what I'm really passionate about. Tapos ngayon, mas may confidence na to show everyone who I really am and to not be too much of a people pleaser. Kasi when you're new in the industry, parang na-realize ko in my 20s, I was so scared. Takot na takot ako pag may press ko, takot ako sa press, baka magalit sa akin. Ngayon naman, wala nang fear. You don't live in fear anymore. You live in faith. Parang ganyan. Diba? You live with more confidence na alam mo na yung ginagawa mo, alam mo why you're here. And so, mas masaya.
At yan ang latest bandera chika natin today. Thanks, Neil.
Salamat, Irvin. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.